Hello and welcome back to the Born Radio Wrestlecast. As always, I'm your host Ryan, and I'm joined today by my lovely duo of co-hosts, Ryan
Uh,
and not Ryan,
Hello, I'm not Ryan.
aka Brett.
I never will be.
Hey, you never know. You can acquire a Ryan in your name somewhere.
Someday.
One day.
Legal middle name. All right, we're talking about AEW Double or Nothing. We got a whole slew of things to talk about because we're recording this a week late. Because I was there, I was at Double or Nothing in person, and was also in Vegas for the rest of that week. So now we're catching up. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
A lot to
Yeah.
talk about because some stuff happened, and I'm sure I'm not going to spoil it until after Double or Nothing. So if you haven't caught up on things, we're not going to spoil that until after we talk about Double or Nothing. But after that point, it's going to be full spoilers for everything up until the air date of this episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, be prepared for that. If you're watching this, you probably already know a lot of the news that has happened, so we won't get into that until afterwards. But hey, let's talk about Double or Nothing. We did a lighter version of our normal predictions special because we had a smaller cast. Wanted to get through it relatively
Yeah.
quickly and had some other stuff to talk about. It was not close.
No.
It was not
The show
close.
screwed me over.
This show, in fact, I think I'm not going to hold you in suspense. The winner is me. I won
Without you.
by more than double.
Or nothing.
Nothing.
A double or nothing. Yep. And the gist of what happened is that we were just wrong. The majority of the time. The 2 points Brett has are the 2 points that I picked incorrectly. Plus the one other that you've got somewhere. I think you picked one more, correct? Because
the Hookhausen at the beginning was
Hookhausen at the beginning. That's right.
It barely counts.
Barely counts. Poor Hookhausen. They did great. Yeah, okay. So let's get into this. Let's get into the whole breakdown here. Starting with Hookhausen, Tony Nese, and Smart Mark Sterling. It was a match.
It was what it needed to be.
Yeah.
You know.
It was,
you see
If you
Tony-
notice, looking back at the footage here, the arena is very close to empty because they did not start letting people into the show until 30 minutes beforehand. And there was a crowd of like, however many this arena fits, like 50,000 people
Mhm.
standing outside in the heat of like a 100 something degree day. I was right next to someone that passed out from heat stroke, and we had to sit there and scream for a medic for about 10 minutes before someone came over.
God.
They're fine.
Oh my god.
They are fine, but T-Mobile Arena was not equipped to handle this, which is stunning considering that they hold a lot of very big events. But yeah, the reason this arena looked very empty was because everyone wasn't let in, and then people that were in were trying to get to merch lines and stuff. So it was a very hectic start.
That's still pretty surprising because for a pre-show match, I definitely thought it was one of the more louder ones with a crowd engagement.
I think
at
it's
this
because people
show, so-
realized that there weren't a lot of people there, and the people that were there were very loud. Yeah, it was a little crazy. Because by the time the actual pay-per-view started, I think that's when everyone eventually got in, but lines were moving slow to get into this building. We got in at, I think, like 4:15, so about 15 minutes before this, and we were there way earlier than we needed to be, just because like we had a lot of time left. Yeah, it was a hectic arena, and it was not equipped for a wrestling crowd, I don't think. But yeah, other than that, once we got past this match, things evened out. I like, look, Danhausen has a great stage presence. Hook also is starting to get one, which is stunning considering how new he is.
Yeah.
But he really did manage to command a crowd. People just, I think, were very tired after this match of settling in. Yeah, after that, let me actually pull up the order because I don't have these listed in order. We're talking about things in the order that they happened. After that, we had MJF versus Wardlow to open the show.
I do want to comment a little bit on, I think it's like pretty cool that, they were still able to use Danhausen in a way while he was injured throughout all that. And then,
Yes.
because he got signed in the company, we still had leg injury. So I think that was pretty cool how they used them, and they spinned it into a thing with Hook. And then it's like really cool how pretty much Danhausen did one move. I think it was like Kirk and Rana. Like that's all he needed to do, and then the crowd was happy, and then
yeah, Hook, I did love the finish for this match of Hook tagging Danhausen in just for the pin was I think very funny. Yeah, for like a comedy buy-in match, I think this is definitely good. And I wonder if they knew the arena was going to be like this, because normally buy-ins they'll try to have 30 minutes of matches beforehand. And we didn't really get that this time. We got about 10, 15 at the most. So I wonder if they knew the arena was going to be like this because of some like thing. Because yeah, there was definitely a longer startup to this. But I will say, I think Danhausen has been wrestling again in indies.
Yeah.
So I think his injury.
Yeah, he got better. I want to say about a couple of weeks ago, but like when he first signed with the company, he was.
Absolutely. Injured. Yeah, so. I just think for this, the injury was probably not a factor. Seems like he's over it now. Definitely gonna get to some injuries that are factors later. All right. After that, MJF versus Wardlow. The big match, nobody knew if it was going to happen until we were there. The crowd was going wild for this the whole time.
It seems like it, yeah.
Insane. When MJF did the whole little airplane thing when he walked in, lost it. Everyone in that building lost it. Yeah, very startling build up to this. We covered it in the pre-show. If you want to know more about the build here, and we'll talk about the aftermath of this when we get to the end of the show. But
long story short, we've been had.
We've been had, most likely.
Exactly what he wanted.
Yeah. So this had a lot of build up. You can definitely tell there were a lot of people here who probably went to the meet and greet for MJF and were very upset that he wasn't there. And there were people. He was getting a level of heat that I don't think MJF has gotten before with this, at least in a long time, just because people were super into this match.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
That's how like when you were outside at all, like you were like just like in the arena. How much were people like talking about?
First thing that happened when I was getting situated inside and like starting to move to seats is a person that was next to me who was not part of our group. And I started talking about whether or not MJF was going to show up. And that was a conversation everywhere. So this was, everyone wanted to know about MJF. Whole arena was a buzz with MJF speculation. Then his music hit and everyone went wild. So yeah. This, at least in the arena, the work definitely worked. Again, depending on if the meet and greet thing was a work or not. It seems unlikely that part was a work, but
I am part of the belief that it initially didn't start as a work, but it became into one. Because there's no really reason why, if you have 100 people who bought $100 tickets for a meet and greet, not to why wouldn't you show up to that? And then it's only more of a hassle for AEW to try to get refunds or something like that. But I do think whatever happened because of that afterwards did become into a work.
Yeah, and I will say the opinion that started to go around, at least my section, was that MJF might have had like a family emergency pop up or something, and that's why the match got put first, so he could get a flight back afterwards. And of course, there's no way to know if this is ever even in the realm of possibility.
Because he'll never let it slip.
He would never let it slip. But people think because MJF has been like, we had this startling trio of reports come out of the meet and greet miss. Then there was like someone was reporting that MJF was not liked backstage, which we know from in the past has not been the case. So it's hard to track what is actually true here, and what is people like following the train of reports that always happens when wrestling things like this happen. But my suspicion here is that it was not necessarily a contract related thing, just because that's an extreme move to take, and it's a move that can also like get you in a lot of legal hot water.
Yeah.
It just seems like that is not something that MJF would do knowingly. So yeah, my suspicion is that it was something unrelated.
That being said, it has been very, very interesting.
Oh, it's been entertaining.
Extremely engaging.
I have been very engaged. Thoroughly entertained, yeah. I think this has turned into a really solid storyline to go forward with, so... Yeah, this match was nothing too special, I think. It was mostly there to be a 15-minute extended squash match.
Yeah, Wardlow finally getting his hands on MJF.
Wardlow getting his payback.
Yeah, all
the full
that it needed to be.
Full 10 power bombs. Excellent. It's just having a good time. Feel good match for the most part. Anything else we want to say about it? Nope.
The man went out on a stretcher. He's going to be gone for a while.
Man went out on a stretcher with an improperly placed oxygen mask.
It's
very
fine.
Funny. All right. Going into our next match was the Hardys versus the Young Bucks. And again, last match that went to MJF versus Wardlow. That was another point for me. So, good luck sitting there with your 1 point, Brett.
Mm-hmm. Let it be known that it's not because I chose MJF. It's because
it's because I chose Wardlow.
To have the opposite, yes.
Yep.
Just in case people are tuning in for the first time and think I'm a dummy poo-poo stupid.
Well, because what happened, I tried to lay this out in a way where we would each roughly have equal matches that were easy to predict. Not what happened.
It felt that way. No, because so many of we just like some of the points we just gave each other. It's just so weird.
Yeah. There was a lot of flip-flopping. Led to a very fun night, I think, but definitely confuses the scoring a little bit.
Yeah. Including this match, I think.
Yes, this match for sure. Hardys versus Young Bucks. I think both of us were of the opinion the Young Bucks were going to win.
Mm-hmm.
When we were talking about this, that this was going to be like the Young Bucks overtaking the Hardys and play into like a final feud angle with the Young Bucks. Not what happened. The Hardys took this. Not convincingly. Is an important moniker there. From what we know now, Jeff got injured and knocked out very early in this match.
Yeah.
And it was definitely pretty easy to tell that at a certain point, because there's like a few sequences of moves where I remember people in the arena were getting a little bit nervous because Jeff was like selling in the way that was too real, where he just wasn't moving. Yeah. And it was a little bit concerning, but then he got up again and everyone was like, all right, he's fine. Just really good at selling. No, he was actually injured.
Well, I think that's the issue too, is Jeff actually is a really good seller a lot of the time.
Super hard to tell.
There's been plenty of times where oh man, he looks hurt, and then he's just fine. So I can't blame people for thinking it's just probably Jeff being Jeff, because it's honestly it's getting to the point now where it's impossible to tell. Well, is he hurt or is he just old? Because he's been wrestling for ever. He has wear on his body. So it just gets to the point where it's like, all right, is he good?
Yeah,
is he not?
It's hard to tell. He did get some really impressive moves off here. I think the Swanton Bomb on the steel steps was excellent. Perfect form, looked great. A couple of the other ones didn't land so well. There was a couple misses in this. Overall, I think this was a fun match, but it was pretty much what we expected of a relatively fast-paced Bucks and Hardys jumping all over the place, just with the... go ahead.
Yeah. I definitely don't think, and obviously that's because time, I definitely don't think it was good as any of their older matches that they had. But I think it was still pretty good, considering that Jeff was knocked a bit loopy there, and I thought, I think if you put that match in front of most of the audience for AEW, that they're gonna like it. It's just because the Bucks and it's the Hardys, they're the two of the most important tag teams in the last decade or so, even more. So it's Yeah, it's all they're always. I feel like no matter what, with that interaction, you're gonna get a good reaction on a hot crowd, even if it wasn't perfect. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think for what it was still pretty good. But yeah, definitely not. I think that this thing is like the things have been good. It hasn't been like the hottest start of the show yet, but I'm still
Yes.
enjoying it.
That was definitely a thing. You can tell by a couple matches in, the audience is. I think it was a combination of it being very hot in this arena. That was one other factor. Is the arena itself was very hot, not just outside. I think the AC was having problems with the amount of people there, so the audience got real exhausted after kind of a lack of an exciting start after the MJF versus Wardlow match, which kind of burnt a lot of people out because everyone was going wild for that match. But after that, there's a string of audience discontent almost.
Yeah, you can kind of tell just like even while watching it is that like a lot of the matches they'll have like a couple pops for the big parts, then the vast majority of them seemed like weirdly on the quiet side.
And I will say, having been to 2 live shows now, one being this pay-per-view and one being a Dynamite episode, the Dynamite crowd was a lot more energetic than this pay-per-view crowd until the end. I think by the end of the match, the pay-per-view crowd was going wild. But
yeah, at the end, yeah.
I think a lot of this was just like, it was exhausting to get there because there's not an easy way to get to this arena. Being on the strip in an area where there's no easy parking or something nearby. So I think a lot of people arrived exhausted, continued to be exhausted because of the fact that we got in and the matches started, so people didn't have time to like go get drinks and whatnot beforehand. So there was a lot of like, the pace was a little bit too rapid at the start, which I think led to a complete loss of energy for our next match, which was Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay. So
yeah.
This was a little unfortunate. This is the match that I think suffered the most from the lack of audience energy because I think this match was pretty good. All things considered, just with especially Brett, you and I were so negative on the idea that they would ever have a Dark Order member come out to help Anna Jay, and it happened. They did it. I was so happy. We got to see good old Johnny Hungy pop up for a little while. Great.
He looks so happy too.
He looks so happy. Smart Mark Sterling got brainbustered on the floor again, and that's always just fun to watch. I think this was a pretty fun match. The audience just wasn't having it for a lot of this.
This whole like midpoint, especially.
Yep. A lot of people would use this as their first bathroom break, which is unfortunate. I think part of that is the Vegas crowd just didn't really seem into the women's matches, which was really, really sad. So yeah, I think
also like this match in particular was pretty like, oh yeah, Jade's winning this.
Yeah, Jade's
like, I feel like with how much little build up they had between them, like, oh well, we gotta get a Jade match in here.
And I have to give them, they gave Anna a lot to do in this match. She had a lot of offense, and
they did.
Jade has gotten pretty good at selling, I would say, where she looks hurt, but not enough that she can't pop back up. Which I think we can compare her to Britt later is a very stark difference.
Yes. I was gonna say that this is at least better than one of the women's matches on the card by a
we'll talk
Las
about
Vegas mile.
We were going to talk about that for a while. I think overall this was a fun match. Just not a lot of substance was really happening here. This feud didn't have any water to stand on, or ground to stand on, just because AEW has the problem of they don't like to present a lot of women's feuds at one time. So
because they only have one match.
They only have one, maybe the occasional second match on Dynamite and one on Rampage sometimes, to where you get kind of lost in the shuffle. It's like this match had very little to stand on, which is surprising considering that Jade Cargill is on screen every week. So it should have had something to stand on, but they just had never really built the program with Anna Jay particularly well. Yeah, I think that's what led to a lot of just not caring about this. There's not a lot of emotional weight going into this feud, which has been a consistent problem with women's booking that I'm sure we'll talk about again in this. Go for it, Brett.
We have payoff though, because now we have a feud to be built, and
we do have payoff that I
this
might have
match.
issues with, because into this match, Jade Cargill wins, another point for me after another point for the Hardys. Good luck sitting in the dirt there, Brett. And
I'm fine in the dirt, don't worry.
Fine in the dirt. Athena pops out of the building out of nowhere, and I think you can tell the audience just like didn't know to expect to debut here. So they're quiet for like until the name Athena pops up.
Ahem.
Yeah.
Ahem.
Yeah, Ryan.
I think you're forgetting about somebody.
You are forgetting about somebody.
Who am I forgetting
Mr.
about?
Hathaway?
Oh, Stokely Hathaway. Yeah.
Okay.
I am forgetting about Stokely Hathaway just because I kind of took it for granted that he was already there for some reason.
The way he just like came out and started talking, it is as if he was.
I was like, oh yeah, he's just always been
I
there.
do not blame you.
No, I am happy about Stokely Hathaway. He's been doing great, especially on the Dynamite. He's had a good presence too. So
yeah,
enjoyed his presence. We got a surprise Athena debut.
We did get the surprise Athena debut.
Hey, I'm very happy about this, but we get a 3-way standoff. We're at 3x3 face-off at the end. And they put Chris Statlander up there. And who does Chris Statlander go walk in front of, all threatening like?
Red Velvet.
Red Velvet. Look, I like Athena. I like Athena a lot. I can buy that she can beat Jade. Do I want her to beat Jade? No. Because it should be Chris Statlander.
Person who's been there since the beginning.
I still don't think she is. I think because they need to build enough time between now and all out. So I think Athena is going to be like a stopgap between then and all out, and then it's going to be Chris versus
I wonder
Jade Cargill at all out.
Because Forbidden Door throws a wrench in the works here.
Yeah.
Especially with all the injuries, it's hard to know who is going to have space on the card. So I wonder if we're gonna build some program out where they take care of this Jade and Athena thing quickly, and then we get some other feud involving some of this group for Forbidden Door. I could see that happening. Just like imagine Jade Cargill next to some of the Japanese wrestlers. I think that would be a very striking visual. But yeah. I think it's an interesting build here. I think Jade is starting to need to be pushed into the main title scene for All Out. That's my kind of thinking here, is that she's going to be the one to beat Thunder Rosa. But I don't know if now's the time.
Yeah.
That's really the thing.
That's the thing for me, is because I still think they don't want Jade to lose yet, and that's why I feel like this Athena thing is a stopgap.
Yep. Because I think they're in the position now where they don't want Jade to lose. They don't want Britt to lose. Someone's got to lose. Because we cannot have all of our women's TV time each week be taken up by these two heel teams that have been on TV every week for like the past year. So I think we're quickly hitting critical mass of people are going to start turning on, especially Britt. I think Jade is fine for a while, but Britt I think is going to start getting some go away heat at some point. If this is going to continue, just because like people want to see Statlander so badly. Like poor Ruby Soho.
Seriously.
I like Soho a lot too, and man, her just not getting cheered because Statlander lost the good match they had. I'm like, all right, I get it, but I think Tony Khan needs to maybe get it too. Because
especially after this pay-per-view, he really needs to get with the program.
Because I think running Athena into Jade first thing, and if you play Chris versus Red Velvet at the same time, people are gonna be mad. Athena is going to get booed not because people don't like her, but because she's the wrong person for this feud right now. which would be a real shame. So,
and it's not like the Stat versus Red Velvet like character kerfuffle really has all that much weight behind it right now. Like if more time went by of them like screwing each other over out of like, victories and stuff, then like yeah, I could totally see it. But like Red Velvet becoming a baddie in the first place was like one of those things where it's like, oh,
coin flip.
All right, I guess
Thing.
I guess she's a heel now. All right, that's fine. All right, cool.
It was the equivalent of her randomly swapping brands in WWE. That's what it felt like to me. I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't have the weight behind it. I think they might have been planning something with Layla Hirsch that got back-ended because of this, for sure, of her injury, which is definitely like a bad thing to have happened. But I'm not sure. I think they need to extricate themselves from the situation that the women's division is currently in, and this pay-per-view just kind of made it worse. So
a little bit.
Hopefully we, in the next few weeks, kind of maneuver out of this and get the women's division into a better spot. All right. Anything else to say about this match? About Stokely Hathaway, Athena? Any excitement for these two debuts?
I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see Athena, and Stokely Hathaway is going to be really funny.
Stokely Hathaway was really good on a microphone, and I think is definitely going to be. It's good to have more of these manager characters that are available.
I think he kind of fits Jade better than
Smart
Mark too, because
Smart Mark is goofy.
Yeah, that's the thing is like Stokely's a little bit goofy too, but he can be really serious, and I feel like he fits the whole thing. Because that's the thing is when we first saw Smart Mark Sterling, he was the goofy lawyer, and then he just ended up with Jade, and it was fun, but like it just felt weird, you know. It's like it always just kind of felt like, oh, that's a really interesting dynamic to put for someone that's confident with like as Jade with a geek of Smart Mark. I feel like Stokely Hathaway is going to be really a good fit because especially if he helps manage like the rest of the baddies too, because like Red Velvet's not really a good talker. Kiera Hogan's okay, but she hasn't really got a chance to talk too much in AEW.
Athena wasn't a good talker, and startlingly kind of was last time she showed up.
Yeah,
she did fine. I might just be too used to her silent NXT days, but I was surprised that she did a pretty good promo.
Yeah, but yeah. Wish the match got more love, but I'm excited to see those two.
Moving on to the match that got people excited for Ruby again, and then quickly crushed that hope. We actually, is that next? No, that's not the next match. We'll talk about that soon. It's coming up. It's because I have a different order here. You hold that train of thought for a little while. Our next match was the surprise banger 6-man of House of Black versus Death Triangle, which
I don't think it was a surprise. I think it was a given considering these people.
You say that. Going into this, I was just kind of sad this feud was still happening.
Well, a little bit. I think it had to because Phoenix was injured.
I just think they didn't have the right build for the pay-per-view feud. Which is, I'm saying this as someone who loves both of these teams. They're probably my two favorite entity teams in this company.
I mean, like I get like story-wise, yeah, I guess it wouldn't have been 100% the best considering how drawn out this is. But I think from a quality of what they're going to do, I think it was always.
No, the quality was never in question. I just mean build-wise, this I think did not have a lot of weight behind it, but got a lot more as this match went on.
Yeah, because I think like after the fact, I mean, at least I think Ryan too will agree with me. I think this might be match of the night for me and maybe you guys also.
It's definitely
at least.
Mine.
I was expecting it to be good because all of these guys were great, but I wasn't expecting it to just like absolutely tear down.
I wasn't expecting to love every part of this match.
Exactly. And like it's worth pointing out, like we have probably like the most until the main event, the most obvious botch of the night with poor Brody King not being able to make it over the rope entirely and getting his foot cut. But It didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. It was still awesome.
Yeah, I'll definitely say like the audience did not care about the botches.
Oh, absolutely not.
In this night, no, we were super into it. Yeah, I think most people. I'm of the opinion that the occasional botch actually adds to wrestling and doesn't take away.
Oh yeah,
because it sells how difficult things are to pull off, right?
Mm-hmm.
It makes it look like when Brody King is trying to do these acrobatic moves and messes up, you're like, okay, I get it, right? I understand that this is like the heavy thing. You can't always pull those moves off. And that to me sets up an interesting dynamic of now you have the opportunity to play off of that in a match type or something down the line. So I don't know. I don't think it detracted anything at all. Loved the looks and entrances for both of these teams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these guys have their themes and presentation down so well, which is another thing that's kind of been my sticking point with a lot of the pay-per-view card tonight, or not tonight, but when Double or Nothing happened. They kind of, AEW has this issue with making pay-per-views entrances feel important sometimes. Where like sometimes they nail it. Sometimes you give Ruby Soho Rancid and I'm like, yeah, this feels like a pay-per-view entrance. And then just CM Punk and Adam Page just kind of walk on stage to their normal entrances, and I'm like, just like maybe we should have had something a little bigger here for one of them.
Something for the main event, yeah.
But yeah, that's a separate gripe. But I do think for these two, like they have perfect entrances that don't require a lot of pyro. Just turning the lights down and getting this fog out and whatnot, making the spooky vibes of the arena really sell these two teams. You have like a perfect storm for something cool to happen, which I think is why this program, they extended it so long to make sure that Phoenix got in on it, because it is a good program at the core. Like this is a great two teams to put against each other. It just has been so long. I think people want something different. But yeah, match was great. Buddy Murphy, who I'd never seen really do anything before. His time in AEW, super impressive.
Yeah.
Can you say wasted talent?
It's stunning to me that like there's so many so many people like this that have just kind of gotten, you know, this is like the team of wasted talent.
I know, and now they're all incredible.
And all of them are, I think, 3 of the most impressive. Actually, 6 of the most impressive. Everyone in this entire match is incredible. Yeah, I think especially, like, I want to see a singles match between Pac and Malachi Black so badly. As just a thing that could happen. Because all of them are great. They're great at tag team wrestling, which has startled me. Because Malachi was always a singles person in past times, so not past, but from where I knew him, he was always basically doing singles wrestling. So seeing him not do singles wrestling and be really good at it, and it's just a really good set of matches that they have put on, even with the unfortunate state of the feud itself. So, yeah.
Which, hey, speaking of the feud, they pulled the trigger on something.
They did pull the trigger on it. Finally we get goth cheerleader Julia Hart.
The goths stay winning.
Who is now going to be a megastar.
Yes, absolutely. If Tony Khan, if you do nothing with this poor girl with the next like 3 weeks,
she even cut a great vignette. Even cut a great vignette. I mean, come on. This is a perfect setup. Especially because I personally love seeing the intergender factions, just because it really feels like it elevates everyone in them. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with this, and hopefully Julia gets some more big women's matches so that she actually gets a bit of screen time. Be great. But, yeah, I think Julia, this is building.
You know, Julia is actually still not signed with the company.
Oh my god!
Like officially.
That is stunning.
That is depressing.
Like she probably is, right? But they haven't given her the funny graphic.
Like, maybe they're waiting for her to show her in-ring gear.
Yeah, they're probably waiting for like her first match like that to give her. She's probably like been signed for a while, but like it's like the thing like
she's in the Yuta situation.
Yeah, like you're pretty much like Yuta's probably signed, but he doesn't have the official thing yet. So
yeah. overall, great match. Really put on a good show and definitely got the audience back and re-energized for a little while before they completely lose it again.
I think one of my favorite things about this match is a very small part. There's a thing where there's a part where Malachi was surrounded by all three of them.
Yes.
And I'm just so used to like WWE booking of like, oh, even though he's a spooky heel, he's gonna like
instantly
back
get
away
beat to a
and
pulp
like,
or run away.
But no, he literally
he
beat
spinning heel kick on two of them.
Yeah.
Almost beats a third before finally getting overwhelmed. And it's like, that is how you sell that situation.
He like, come on! He was like screaming at them to come in or something.
Yeah, I really love that they're not making him a cowardly heel and they're making him stand his ground, because it really does make Malachi feel like a big deal, which is great. So, yeah, overall, loved everything about this match. Loved the finish of Julia Hart coming out and black misting. So, I think this was just a really good constructed match, and then finally a good end to this feud. If this had happened at Revolution, man, the heat would have been wild for that. I think this would have been a really different situation had this happened at Revolution, because people wouldn't have been so tired of the feud. So, all right. Another point for me for that, because House of Black, obviously. So, moving on to our next match. Time for the Owen Hart tournament.
Is it?
Y'all excited?
No.
Our first Owen Hart tournament match was Samoa Joe versus Adam Cole. Man, Brett, this was not a good one. This was not what we wanted when we talked about predictions. Not a happy situation.
The match itself was good.
Good until the end.
It wasn't fantastic, but it's like you expect Adam Cole and Samoa Joe to put on a shoulder, but they're some of the best professionals that AEW has, and they did.
Yep.
They're satisfactory wrestling experience. It's just I don't know. I know what they have now that Adam Cole has won, but I don't care, because I think the implications of that are, like just how often they are on the screen. Stupid.
Yep.
And it relates back to the problem that we were talking about last week, or one of the problems, where it's just like Adam Cole is there every single week, and it's not like it just doesn't feel.
They're not doing different things with him every week.
Exactly.
He's doing the same match template basically every week. And when I think back to like NXT, where this is like the era of NXT people that I watched a lot of, the way they got around having Adam Cole every week is they try to put him in different roles, where he'd be in a match, he'd be in a tag team match, he'd be managing a tag team match, he'd be commentary. It's like you throw him to different places so he's not constantly cutting the same promo and doing the same match.
They still do. They still do sometimes.
But they're doing
all
of it. They're doing all of it at once instead of separating it out and having him.
Doesn't feel like the right amount.
Just being one of the things one time a week is, I think, the ideal amount of Adam Cole at the current moment. It's too much right now. And I'm saying this as someone that really likes Adam Cole and doesn't think his gimmick is overdone. So I do think that he's just in the position of he needs to be de-exposed a little bit, because that's the main problem. He's so overexposed right now to people that people are getting tired of it. You got to pull him back, let some other people shine for a little while. When you're ready to pull the trigger on the Undisputed Elite thing, pull the team back in, because right now we're just kind of waffling about. Maybe let Kyle O'Reilly have a good run in for a little while, because he's been having some really banger matches. So give him like an actual time to shine would be great.
It seemed like with the injury that he has, it's finally going to give
that
us
injury
a little bit of
might be a
time.
good thing for Adam Cole.
Yeah,
especially if it's not serious and he's just out for a little while. I think that will be
like that's the thing though, and we'll get to it like later, like with the Brit match, is they're still really over with the crowd.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. So I mean, like on one hand, I can't blame them, but at the other hand, it's just like just let them do something else.
Yeah.
Please, like And
Well,
like
I think there's a difference.
Part.
There's a difference of being over with the live crowd and being over with the home crowd. Because the live crowd gets over for things they can interact with, for sure.
Yeah.
And Adam Cole, Bebe, and DMD are very easy to interact with, and they're fun, and they're very loud. You get the audience up on their feet, and that makes them very fun to watch live. But it does mean that I think people at home are not getting that experience, and so they don't get the whole package of these wrestlers. And at the end of the day, the people at home are the people making the money by keeping those viewer numbers up. So I think they're, in the long run, Adam Cole going away from TV for a few weeks is definitely a good thing. Then coming back a little bit more refreshed. But especially Samoa Joe losing to Adam Cole, fine, I'm okay with it. Man, I wish the Owen Hart tournament finals were clean, though. That's my thing. Yeah. I'm like, you have an Owen Hart tournament. Hart's is some of the best, like, shooter wrestlers, technical wrestlers. Give us a clean finish of the first Owen Hart tournament, you know? Just this once. I don't care if you have shenanigans down the line, but when you have Martha Hart coming out, giving this impassioned speech about wrestling, and you have the two heeliest heel power couple behind her. Heeliest heel cheaters that won by cheating behind her, and I'm like, okay. This is a weird visual.
So to give, I mean, Owen Hart was mainly a heel for the majority of his run in the States. And, you know, even within, we haven't talked about it yet, but the ending of Britt Baker and Ruby Soho is just one-to-one ripped from Bret Hart versus Owen Hart from WrestleMania 10. Like, that's the finish. That was the finish. And
that's the thing. For me, we're not talking about that match yet, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I said it immediately when we were watching it. And you showed me the finish, is that I don't care. It's cool little reference for the people that get it, but I didn't, and it was extremely dissatisfying to me because it did not make sense for that match to happen that way. Even if, you know, I would say even if you really are super duper into Brit right now, I don't think it made sense for that match to happen that way. Even if you showed up nothing about wrestling, you just saw the Brit versus Ruby match. When one of the people comes out to Rancid and the other person just comes out to their normal entrance
with Fozzy,
which, you know, he redeemed himself for doing not so good on the guitar last time. He did shred. They mixed him properly now. Yeah, he shredded. It was good. Still not as good as the guy who came out and played for Jade. I think he's still upper echelon of solo guitarist. I don't think he's ever going to be beaten. They should bring him back every single time that she comes out. But it was not a good payoff at all, I don't think.
Yeah, because I think my issue with this is Owen Hart tournament. What do people think of when you think tournament in wrestling? I think you think of like the pinnacle of your company, right? That's what you're going to. And you need to elevate these titles, especially on their first not titles, but elevate these belts that are being given out, and this tournament that is, as they've stated, I think planned to be yearly. So I think for your first people to have these, you want them to be the top of your, like, the tournament showing. And I don't think Adam Cole or Britt Baker was the top of the tournament showing, especially in most of the matches they were in, which is unfortunate. So that's kind of my stance on it. Is it just doesn't feel like these are as important now, just because of the people that have them have had other awards and stuff, have had these other things. Britt is coming off of a super long championship run, and it just feels like this is maybe not the pair of people I would use to turn the Owen Hart tournament into a power couple angle, is what it feels like is going to happen. So yeah, not super happy with these finishes. I think Ruby Soho has just been done dirty. Unless we have anything else to say about the men's Owen Hart match, which was, I think, pretty good. It was a pretty good match. Yeah. It was just, I think people are kind of over the Adam Cole, Samoa Joe thing right now, and we're hoping to see something a little bit different. So moving into the women's match, of course, that is our first other point aside from Hookhausen for Brett, because I chose Samoa Joe to win, and I was very wrong.
Yeah, so I can't take credit for that one.
You get Adam Cole, baby. All
I
right.
don't want him.
The women's Owen Hart tournament finale, we had a really, really cool pair of entrances of Britt coming out to her jamming guitar, and then you get Ruby Soho. There was like a moment where the arena was quiet, and like a bunch of people in my road started looking towards the entrance and were like, wait a minute, do you see that? And they were putting in like the box for the band to play in. People were getting real excited for that build up. Then Rancid shows up, and everyone's real excited for Rancid. And you get a live performance of Ruby Soho. Ruby comes in looking like a star. She is bouncing off the walls, looks great, doing her thing.
Yeah.
Loses the match.
Worth pointing out too, I think Rancid actually did a good free performance, because sometimes the bands come out and they don't do a good job. But yeah. Rancid is Rancid, so you would hope that
you can tell the only issue they had is like the main mic seemed to have some weird level thing where it cut out a few times, but that was really the only problem, I think. And that's like super forgivable. Yeah, I love this entrance. I think Ruby looked a lot more confident here than she has looked before approaching the ring, which I think is part of why some people don't get super behind her. She doesn't always have the best entrance walk as it is, and I think this was really good. I think she had everything she needed here, to where if she had won, this would have been a really star-making performance for her. Because Ruby has kind of just been on this losing trend of every time she's on a mainline show or pay-per-view, she loses. And there's a reason that when you do that to people don't get behind the wrestler because they lose all the time. So I think when people are eventually, Tony Khan is going to ask, why aren't people liking Ruby Soho? If he does not immediately go to, maybe I need to book her better, there's a problem here. This is the same thing that I think happened to her in WWE, which is really disheartening to see this starting to happen. Is I think she needs a big win. This would have been the big win I would have given her, and it just kind of hasn't happened. And my other big problem with this match, I think this is one of the worst matches on the card tonight, in terms of like actual in-ring things happening.
Yeah,
Britt Baker, I think, is generally pretty good, and generally can hold her own well in the ring. Ruby and Britt Baker in the ring together has a problem of Ruby wrestles a style that really needs you to sell.
And Britt cannot sell.
Britt can't sell. Because Ruby's like targeting limbs, is doing the standard wrestling, like ground-based wrestling moveset, and Britt is just getting back up constantly and not looking like she's hurt by anything. And I'm like, okay, this feels bad to me, because my first reaction on watching this match live was that Ruby was not impressive. I watched this match 2 more times on the pay-per-view rollback and was like, wait a minute, that's not what happened. What happened is that Ruby was doing some cool stuff, and Britt just didn't react to the stuff. And so it looked like Ruby didn't do the moves right or something. Britt wasn't doing anything. I think watching this back, that was very clear, and it's a real shame, because I think this is part of why people are not very impressed by Ruby, is she has been being put against people that aren't good at playing with her style of wrestling, which some of that it might be that her style is hard to mesh with. But in the case of this case especially.
Yeah,
I think it was really clear that there were some issues with the construction of this match, and it was not very satisfying, which is a shame.
I don't know. This is tied for worst for me, with something else we'll talk about later. But it's just like, I don't think either of these ladies are bad at all. It's just like the same. I'm pretty sure we said something exactly like this last time, where it's just like Britt got the most improved award last year, or like right at the beginning of this year or whatever, for last year basically. And I think right now she's at her, it at least feels like she's at her upper limit of her capabilities as a wrestler.
I think she has not. She's been at the same spot since then. And I agree with her getting that reward last year. I think she did a fantastic job. But she's hitting this problem where I think she's going up against certain people, and it's becoming very clear that she can't wrestle in certain styles. At least not yet. I'm not saying she won't be able to. It just is very clear that she doesn't have the training to. And I have a feeling part of that is she's splitting her time heavily, which is not a huge issue. It's just, I imagine it really hurts her training time. It is probably making it difficult to coordinate some of these matches, and it just feels like this was maybe something that got a little bit lost in the shuffle. So
it could be, yeah.
I'm curious on your thoughts on this match, Ryan.
I actually didn't think it was the worst match on the card.
Really?
There's some parts that are really sloppy to it, but I think it, like, at least character-wise, it showed Ruby's character really well against Britt, and there were a couple of times where I thought she did a really good job where I thought she was going to win. And I don't know. There's like some things that obviously got fucked. Excuse my language, because I am a little bit hot about this match overall.
This is the show that we don't care about language, so
yeah,
you're fine.
So, you know, but I think here's the thing, right? I can remember more things from this match than the Britt Baker Ruby Soho match they had at Arthur Ashe Stadium. That's just
I'd agree with you. I think that match was also not very good, though.
Not very good. I think, and that's the thing, is I think they did a lot better here. I think the main thing that really did bother me here, besides Britt's lack of knowing how to sell, is unfortunately this wasn't just a Ruby issue. This was an issue that everyone seemed to have on the card. Is a lot of the times when they try to do submissions, it just looked really, really, really bad. Like Ruby was trying to do like a sharpshooter, and like her legs weren't in the right area. And there's another match that happens a little bit later where that was an issue. I think there's also an issue with it during the Adam Cole match too, with like trying to apply like some ground-based holds like that. It just looked not good.
Yeah, I think with Adam Cole and Samoa Joe, that might be a size thing. I think Adam Cole is not used to wrestling people the size of Samoa Joe, and might have had some difficulty changing how he did holds to fit that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if like considering everything else on the card, I think it has to be like the worst match. I guess critically looking at everything, even though I feel like another match that I believe it is the next match, I feel like can maybe take the cake, but I feel like in that case it's for completely different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you're saying.
Looking at it, but yeah, you know, I feel like, and like it seems. I hope they recurve here with Ruby, because it did still seem like when she came out on Wednesday for Dynamite that she's still pretty over. So obviously something with Rancid.
Yeah, I think she just needs a win. Is the big thing to cement it. She needs a big win against someone that is a big deal. Maybe Serena Deeb would be good for that, something like that. But I think there's a lot of people you could put her against that would elevate her, and it just needs to be someone that can do the ground-based wrestling style a little better than Britt.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe like we're up against Thunder Rosa again, because when they're the two finalists and the Battle Royale together, they did really good. So why don't you just put her with her like that? I don't know. Obviously it'd be like a face versus face thing, but the AEW doesn't really seem to care about that. So
yeah, I think face versus face people can generally get behind a little bit more than heel versus heel, which is weirdly what's happened a lot this pay-per-view in last couple weeks. Has been a lot of heel versus heel stuff, which is hard to pick someone to root for. I
also have to wonder if Mrs. Martha Hart had a choice in who she wanted to win.
I am curious. That would be interesting.
Because I wonder if she did just like had a hand in choosing the winner, and she just wanted both of them to win. Because I don't know. That was another thing that was crossing my mind.
Adam Cole is a decorated enough wrestler, and his winning doesn't rub me as wrong as Britt winning right after being champion. But at the same time, like, I'm not against Britt having this title. I just think the way in which the match that she won it in was just not impressive, and it was just a kind of rough showing for this.
Yeah.
Generally, I like Britt. It's just overexposure again is the
and to be
problem.
Completely fair, this is actually like the first big thing Adam Cole has won in AEW.
Yeah.
Like because like he's been.
That's why I think it doesn't feel as weird to me, as Adam Cole has talked a lot of talk recently, hasn't done a lot. So maybe giving this on him is a good way to do that. It just feels, especially for the case of Britt Baker, that there's something missing for this. I don't know what exactly it is, but something is missing from this formula that we have here.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, let's move on past our Owen Hart to our mixed trios match. This is finally we're free. At least we can say that. We're free of the TNT hole. Man, I want to say, let's start with some good things that I like about this match, so then we can trash on it all we want. I want to start on the positive, at least to give some good. Ty's Maleficent gear, super cool. Loved that. Scorpio.
Why?
Good entrance. like
his
entrance.
Paige
Van Zandt looked pretty good, actually. She was doing well.
Did a good job.
I liked this mixed trios match because I think it was on a pay-per-view. They could do a little bit more, and so Paige getting to actually interact with some of the men's wrestlers and throw them around a little bit was very satisfying to me. I think it made her look really good. I like that. The whole bit partway through with Frankie Kazarian not liking his teammates, thought that was one of the better played can they coexist trio angles that AEW's done, of Frankie Kazarian just like doing the little goofy walk in and immediately turning tail and just running. I think they played the humor up well in this match, of like they are now aware that people are not super into the heel versus heel American Top Team Sammy Guevara Ty Conti thing that's going on, and so they managed to start playing Ty and Sammy as these goofy heel couple that I think worked to a small degree. I think they pushed it maybe a little bit too hard, and it started to approach the territory of, okay, this is a lot, and I'm not buying it as much. But yeah, I think in some cases they did what they could to make this match more enjoyable than it could have been otherwise.
Yeah. However.
Yep. Go ahead.
My God, I hated watching this to a point where I did not watch half of it. I kind of was my bad. Same. I just kind of like, which is a shame because like a lot of the people involved are really good. Like even Paige, cool guy, Scorpio, cool. It's just like they just have made it like pretty much the most uninteresting thing.
I'll put it this way: like I like everyone in this match. Hate it together. Together, it's the worst thing.
Worst combo.
It's so weird. They did at least give Scorpio some good offense. I like that. I feel like he's earned the title now. I think when he won the title, people were kind of like iffy on him deserving it. But at this point, I think they've proven that he can go and he can talk well. I don't understand why they don't give him a mic. I don't get it. Don't give Dan Lambert the mic. Give it to Scorpio or Ethan, the people that can talk well and don't make people hate them. Yeah, there's so many things that are weird about this now Sammy Guevara verse of wrestling that I'm just kind of iffy on. And I hope they get out of it after this.
I think they are, because I think they legitimately had to find some way to end this, considering it was built up with Brandy and Cody. And I think they just had to try to figure a way to end the Paige Van Zandt thing while also having to include the TNT thing, because that's what Sammy and Scorpio were doing at the same time, but separate to it. So I think like Cody leaving during when he did just unfortunately kind of
left
completely
a weird situation.
Left all 6 of these people in a Frankie got thrown into this. To be fair,
he did.
Like,
I loved Frankie being thrown into this.
Yeah,
I do think that made it a lot better.
Page were the best parts, honestly.
Yeah, I want to see more Ethan Page and Frankie Kazarian. I think like they did not show on.
Yeah, I Paige Vincent as well.
And like all of them, like 3 of these people in this match deserve to be shown off a lot more.
Oh yeah.
And then the other 3 people I can go without seeing for a little bit. Although I guess Scorpio's a champion. So
yeah, I really want to see more of Scorpio, but I want to see more of him in an environment that is not this. That I think is the real thing. I feel like American Top Team is hurting Scorpio to a serious degree of just like taking what should be his spotlight away. Ethan Page is also now warped up in this weird American Top Team verse, and Ethan Page is really good, and he's a really good singles wrestler, and he's not getting to do that because of this weird thing. And like Scorpio Sky has a singles title. They're not a tag team. They don't do tag team wrestling, but they're this weird duo group that I think is just not working super well. And I think they had an out. They had an out when Frankie Kazarian challenged for the title, and there was the whole bit. Scorpio could have left, and if that had happened, I feel like we would have been in a better situation, but they needed to do the mixed tag. So Scorpio couldn't leave Top Team, which I think has just created this amalgamation that is very strange, and not a great place to be in. The thing I'm super curious about with this group of people is going forward, do we continue to play Sammy Guevara and Ty as heels, and do they get go away heat?
I think no matter what they're at this point, they're gonna get heel heat. I think they're kind of, unfortunately, at this point.
Because the weird situation to me was that I think they sold me a little bit in this of I can see them being a good heel couple. The problem is I don't think either Sammy or Ty are particularly good at cutting promos.
No.
But people keep giving them microphones. And that's a big problem. I wonder if they can step it back and just like play up Sammy's natural punchable face and build that into more of an angle, because I think they do have something here with these two. It's just an unfortunate situation that created this where people are not liking it. So I don't know if they continue trying to roll with this or if they find something else to do. Because like Ty's whole thing is irreversibly gone now. She can't just go back to being Ty Conti anymore. She's now in this weird Sammy Guevara verse. So what do we do? I think that's the question Tony Khan's got to contend with for a little while. And hopefully find some way.
Cody. Goodbye.
Thanks for dragging Ty Conti into this.
Destruction left in his wake.
Yeah, this is just a whole can of worms. I think the match itself was not as bad as the women's match in the finale, but I think just people cared so little about any result of this match, because I think the only thing people were interested in this match was seeing Paige Van Zandt wrestle. That to me is like the only thing that was like a hook for this, and she didn't wrestle very much. She was there for like 2 minutes and then was out.
For me, that's the one thing I was actually very not looking forward to seeing her wrestle, because like how many times has like an MMA personality come into the ring and just absolutely just like tripped over their own feet or just like not done anything. Jake Hager's been in this company since the beginning, and let's be honest, he might as well just stand there and do nothing. He's like fine, but my God, oh my God, my brain every so often when I'm about to fall asleep at night and my eyes are closed, my brain brings up images, flashes of the only JR commentated match of Jake Hager versus John Moxley in a completely empty small arena, and I get scared back awake. I don't know what to do.
Yep.
But I legitimately, she was the biggest, source of.
Because she has the attitude down.
She's got
her
that down.
Showboating is fantastic.
Yeah, you can kind of get a similar feeling to where Jade was for a while, where I feel like a lot of wrestlers who are just getting into it are like, oh, that move looks cool, and that move looks cool, and that move looks cool. I want to do all these, because she just kind of did like a bunch of just like not like incredible like looking, but pretty cool looking moves. Like someone who's getting into wrestling would be like, oh, I want to do that off the top rope or something. And she did it.
I'll put it
And
this
she
way. I
didn't
was
really
generally
screw up.
more excited watching her wrestle than I am the few Ronda Rousey matches I have seen. A lot of that is personality, I think. Paige Van
Man.
Zandt can sell the facial expressions a lot better than Ronda can, but yeah, I don't have a lot of frame of reference for women's MMA people doing wrestling, so I think comparatively, I wasn't as non-hopeful for this. I wasn't thinking it was going to be a disaster, just I've never seen it be a disaster. So I think it was good. I think her debut worked pretty well. I wonder how often we see her while she's still training, because it definitely seems like she's relatively early in training. And for Jade, that worked okay. So maybe we do see her like once a month going forward for a little while, or twice a month, just doing things somewhere. Shows up on an episode of Dark.
Even if she's just training, even if it's not just like a match or something, I really like genuinely I want to like I don't. It's the same thing like that I say all the time when we talk about like games coming out or something on the game podcast. Like I don't want this character to be bad. I don't want to not like this person.
But you're in the head state of it happens so often.
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
and the only way for that not to happen, show me this person and that they can do things that are interesting.
It's the Ruby Soho problem. It's like
exactly
same thing.
Yeah.
She needs a chance to be shown shining, not on AEW Dark on TV.
Yes, legitimately.
It's like, I like AEW Dark. I'm not going to watch every episode of it. And most people watching the television show do not watch it. So don't rely on that to sell someone's stature and how they can wrestle. All right, let's take us out of the Sammy Guevara verse. Man, it was really just a rough situation. I got to refresh my things. I accidentally messed up the order they were in. There we go. Okay. So after our Sammy Guevara verse, we got the surprise Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin. This was just kind of slotted in here. We didn't have this on the things. We did not know this match was happening. Same with the last match. We didn't know it was happening. Surprisingly good, I think, for just a one-off match.
Yeah.
Not a lot to say about it aside from that, though.
No, yeah, it was a pretty good match. I thought it was fun to watch. That one botch that Darby did was terrifying.
Yeah, I thought he broke his neck for a little while.
Died.
He was fine. He was fine. So,
but yeah, it was a fun, fast-paced match. You know.
Yeah. I think that's about all we can really say about it. There was some cool exchanges here. I like the caught coffin drop was a fun show off for Kyle O'Reilly. I think he looked really good in this match. Especially because Kyle O'Reilly has tended to not be the singles push of the Adam Cole group in most of the companies he's been in with Kyle. So it's fun to see him get a single spotlight for a little while and actually look really good and very capable. So I like that he was put against Darby Allin. I think this is like a weird matchup we wouldn't normally see. And when you're making like a filler match for a pay-per-view card, I think that's what you're looking for, is just like, here's two people like to see them, throw them in a match together just for fun, and we'll see what happens. And I think that was a good thing to happen here, especially because Darby is one of the better people to eat a loss.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he always can pull out a win. His scrappy little style, so you're never afraid that he won't win a match, but you're always like in the mind state of if he loses, it's fine. So I think he's one of the people least hurt by this, and probably with Sting being out, they didn't want to push Darby too much right now, just so he can get his little group back together. Any other thoughts on this match?
It was good.
All right, it was good. Moving on to this is my singles match of the night for sure. Our next match was the AEW Women's World Championship match. Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb. Match had very little build, but man, they put on a technical clinic. These two
seriously
excellent wrestlers. They were doing moves I've never seen before that blew my mind. This to me is like you look at this match and then you look at the match before with Jade Cargill and Anna Jay and Dr. Britt Baker and Ruby Soho, and you just see like the difference of styles is so stark. I think this is like one of those matches that just sells why Thunder Rosa is champion right now. And man, I wish it had the build it deserved, because really would have been, I think, match of the night if it had. So Yeah, I thought this was excellent. The gear they both had looked great. Thunder Rosa with her Rivalda gear was gorgeous.
That cool looking.
That gear looked so good, and she sold that gear at auction to help the survivors of the shooting.
Yeah,
which is excellent.
Wow.
Yeah, super cool. I love her working that into this, and it just adds like weight to what she's doing, which I think was really, really good. Yeah, I think this is Thunder Rosa should have gotten a big entrance here, in my opinion, because it felt like she deserved it.
With a Brit.
Yeah, and it just feels it's odd to me that this match didn't get a lot of build because it was so good.
Yeah,
so good. So yeah, I mean, whatever Thunder Rosa and Serena Deep touch tends to turn to gold. So
pretty much anything that has a flying octopus hold in it is usually pretty
yeah,
cool.
I mean, that was excellent. The audience was like on their feet for most of that. Of just like, oh my god,
because you don't see people do painful.
You don't see people try a standing hold very often. But like, I can't recall an AEW match where I've seen someone try a standing hold.
It's only Deeb, I'm pretty sure, that does it most of the time.
Maybe Bryan Danielson will try it on someone.
Maybe.
Didn't Mr. Gresham do it?
Oh yeah,
yes,
yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
Yep. Gresham
one
did.
time he was there. Yeah, I feel like
Excellent.
maybe Seidel might have done it also because he's also a oldie boy. But I could be. Either way, it's it doesn't happen very often, and it shouldn't.
Rare, and it feels special when it does.
But, I think also, I mean, you can obviously tell these things a lot better than I can, but I think this match was pretty immune from the curled syndrome that the rest of the show was, just because, I mean, like, if you're Deeb, I mean, that's like you're saying, like, they better be good, and they always are, pretty much. And Rosa sells them really, really well. She's one of those people where, like, sometimes she does get injured, and it's like, oh my god, I just thought she was selling. And she's selling, and I go, oh my god, I thought she was injured, because she just does a really good job kind of blurring that line. And that played into this match really well, I think.
Yeah, the crowd definitely got into this one too, which helped. Crowd had been on a downswing again during the Darby Allin match, and now they're back on an upswing. Just like Serena Deeb being thrown around like a boat for a little while. So
yeah,
I don't know what to call that move. She's just swinging around like a boat.
Cool.
She's one of those theme park pirate ship rides.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah, this I think was just super fun. Not a whole lot else to say about it though, unless anyone's got other things they want to add.
No.
All right, great match. Moving on. Anarchy in the arena.
This is my match of the night.
Wild Thing!
Incredible.
15 minutes, 3 loops.
I have no clue how they pulled off this match.
This was better than the Stadium Stampede, I think, which is stunning.
I just because I think it's more impressive too. Because like the thing with the Stadium Stampede is as great
you
as they are,
can redo takes. Yeah,
redo takes. This was all live, and this was I can only imagine how hard this was to like record and like plan out. You know, okay, we need to have like 1 or 2 camera guys go follow Eddie and Matt Menard, and and
I think it's like they were all doing things the entire time. There was not like someone taking a break in a corner or something. There was all of these people were doing things constantly. But watching this live was insanity. There was like 4 different spots at the arena where things were happening, and then unless you were back getting a drink or something, you wouldn't be seeing the people in the back. But they chose like 4 or 5 spots in the arena to start doing things. There was like ladders getting set up. You can see like the build to all these different things they're doing. When you watch the like version that is the live version with the recorded footage, you miss a lot of the setup, but there were lengthy bits of like people getting slammed into chairs that did not make it into the final.
I would imagine. Yeah.
You see like the bit where Matt Menard is just busted. Great. Yeah, this match excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it, and like there's a ton of really cool moments here. You know, Eddie Kingston walking down with a can of gas,
looking like he's dead.
Yeah, looking like he's about to murder Chris Jericho. I think it was really interesting to like play with the fact that Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston still really don't like each other.
A well-executed can they coexist angle.
Yeah. And, they are continuing the feud, which is okay, because, this match ended up being really good.
Yeah, and it's a good way to get these people on screen every week, because this is a big group of talented people all around. So, especially seeing someone like Daniel Garcia get a lot of time is really nice, because he's definitely someone that I think is really good, but just hasn't necessarily impressed the audience in a big way yet. But he was getting there during this match, I think.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Used the arena super well. There was a lot of movement that I handled well. I love the promotional chair train that Moxley's like trying to unhook for a little while. Jericho getting heat by turning the music off was excellent. And that was like a level of heat I don't think I've experienced before. Of the entire audience erupted in anger when that happened, because there was like a stage with the music playing, where the song played the first time. We're like, oh, it's still going, and people are like kind of looking around, thinking that something messed up in the back, and then people get into it as soon as they realize, okay, they're probably just playing it out, play the whole song, and then it loops once, and people start laughing crazily for like 30 seconds, and then singing along again, and then they get louder for the second loop than the first loop. If I can watch, people are singing it even louder the second time around because it's still going, and then the nuclear heat of turning it off was genius. I mean, whoever came up with that idea,
totally
incredibly good. It's such a great idea. I like that they had the restraint to not play entrances for everyone. As good as all of their entrances are, I think this definitely made it better that it just started Wild Thing and kept going.
Yeah. I said this to Ryan when we were watching it, but I love, like, you have to imagine, like, within the fiction of the wrestling, like before this match, both factions set aside their little devious plans of what was about to happen, and I just want to know which person canonically went up to Mox and was just like, all right, we're gonna put your music on and we're just gonna leave it and we're just gonna blast it. We're gonna loop it over it.
Regal.
If Jericho doesn't turn it off, we're just gonna loop it the entire time, and it's just gonna be such a power move, and it's not. No one's gonna care. It's gonna be great. I love that.
It was excellent. I mean, this was just super fun. This got the audience entirely back on their feet. At this point, this was like the big injection of energy I think everyone needed for the last two matches. Because this was a long pay-per-view. This was very long, especially being in the audience for this, because people were waiting outside trying to get in for like an hour beforehand because they did not open the doors when they said they would. So there was this really long wait of people outside and the wait inside, and the whole matches, the whole wait for MJF. Everyone was exhausted by this point. This was big injection of energy. Loved it. So anything else to say about the Anarchy in the Arena match? Jericho Appreciation Society took it startlingly by knocking out Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
Which I wonder, this might build into a pretty spicy singles match between Danielson and someone, maybe Garcia or Jericho, but
either would be great, honestly.
I think it's whether or not they want to elevate Garcia or give Jericho another big handle match for something. So yeah,
very interested build. Very interested to see how Daniel Garcia was able to become human again after being turned into oil. I'm very interested to see that.
Yeah, how he grows limbs back.
They entered that big industrial elevator and were gone for like 15 whole minutes, and only Eddie emerged with a can of oil. I don't know. The oil wasn't there before, and Garcia's not it's the only thing that made sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just imagining a little oil can that Eddie Kingston is carrying, growing like cartoon limbs and eyes and running around.
It's the worst funny. Like CGI you can imagine.
Yep, that's Eddie Kingston's WWE CGI thing.
Oh God, don't even. He doesn't need that. God.
Yeah. Overall, this was just a crazy match. There's a lot you can talk about with this one, but I think it's about time we moved on to our tag team championship match. Jurassic Express versus Team Taz versus Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Swerve in our glory. Yeah. At this point, Brett, you got no hope of winning. Taking everything.
I lost it. Well, you're not even taking this one. No one is.
No one's taking this one, but the one beforehand, Jericho Appreciation, I got because you chose Blackpool Combat Club, I believe.
Yes.
So a lot of points here were given because we picked the wrong thing. Our next go around, this match, neither one of us thought Jurassic Express was going to win this. Because they've had the belts for a while. It would feel fine if they lost them at this point. They've had a few good defenses. Instead, they put on what I would consider one of the better tag team trio matches that I've seen, tag team three ways. And I think I said it right after this. Like after this match, all three of these teams are greats to me. They all did really, really good. I think this is just a proof that AEW's tag team division is crazy stacked in ways that you wouldn't expect. Like you think of the Bucks, you don't think of Team Taz very often. You don't think of Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland being paired together and suddenly being a really good tag team. I thought overall this was super impressive. So, great match. Did not end how people expected. I think everyone in the audience also thought someone was going to win. I do remember one guy next to me very disappointed going, man, I thought Keith Lee was going to win. It was great.
I think I think most of us thought that Jurassic Express wasn't going to make it through.
Yeah.
That
was definitely the opinion, because people, whenever Jurassic Express was about to lose, people were starting to like stand up, like they're gonna cheer for whoever won.
Yeah,
that was the end of the match. But yeah, I think this
at the same time. I'm not sad that they retained, though.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a retention that I'm totally okay with,
because this is like a big retention. This makes them feel a lot more serious as a tag team, and I think can build into some really cool story stuff. Overall, great match. Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, I think, were really impressive as well. They probably don't get a lot of love recently because they haven't been in a ton of matches, but they looked great here. Hobbs especially just has this power stance that looks so good. Even compared to someone like bigger than him, like Keith Lee, I think it still looks great. Everyone here did a great job, and we got the big Hoss match for a few minutes. We got all the Hosses in the ring. Got to see them all throw some meat at each other. Great, good time. Any other thoughts on this match?
At this point, I'd want to deem Luchasaurus as the unsung hero, because my man has gotten, like, not that he was bad, but he was in, I think
he was unremarkable.
He was unremarkable. He was sometimes when we talk about Brit, I think last time we said that, like, a lot of wrestlers that get boring to watch after a while get into like the same cycle of moves that they do. Like, oh, he's gonna get up and he's gonna do this and this and this, and he'll sometimes do that. But he started throwing in a lot more, just like, all right, you're going across the ring, and I'm throwing you into this other guy. There's a lot more like.
He also showed off the acrobatics that he can do in this match big time. Which, comparing him to the other two big guys in this match, was very impressive. Because like Keith Lee can do some high flying stuff. Not to the degree Luchasaurus clearly can do some like proper luchador level crazy stuff, which I think worked really well here, and showed off how different he can be. Yeah. I wonder if this is building to a breakup of Jurassic Express, because Christian Cage is starting to look a little sketchy.
A little bit.
Lifting those belts out. I'm wondering if we're going to get a singles run of Jungle Boy and what Luchasaurus does in that scenario.
I hope something. I'd be sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like after this match, he has to. It was too good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a really good showing for everyone involved. Swerve and Keith Lee are over as all hell for sure.
Yep.
Team Taz was also very over for this. I think. I think this match did the goal of making everyone look really good, really well,
definitely.
And like better than the other matches on this card. Showed that you can lose and still look like a champion. So. Mm-hmm. Really convincing to me. If I recall correctly, I think Swerve was the one getting pinned.
I think so.
Which surprised me.
Right.
Yeah.
That to me was the part where I was like, I did not expect them to make a new debut lose in this role. Yeah, it was indeed Swerve getting pinned. So yeah, I thought this was a good mix up here. And not what we expected, which is always fun to see when... I think AEW's had a few pay-per-views where people have kind of called every single result pretty accurately.
Yeah.
So having that changed around a little bit for this and not feel cheap is very impressive. So, all right, moving on. To our.
Do we before that? Because I know
Yeah.
I forget exactly where it happened. Do we want to talk about the Martha Hart speech thing just for a little bit? Because I think it's
we can talk about that.
bringing up. Not for a long time, but just saying that it happened.
Yeah, it happened. I think Martha Hart did a great job coming out with Tony Khan and walking up to this little podium. I think to the audience, a lot of people were still in the mindset of it's Britt and Adam Cole. So to me, that's why I think I didn't think of it that importantly, is just because a lot of, I think audience members were a little bit not into Martha Hart coming out, but didn't necessarily buy the importance of the titles as much.
They still got the salt in their mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
Salty.
Her speech was good. I think she kept her composure very well in front of the gigantic crowd that was there, because this was a big arena, a big crowd. It was hard to hear her. That was the other thing. I think why you might not notice the audience saying a lot is because the microphone's projection in this arena for the entire show was kind of like this, where you could hear words, but they were a little bit garbled. It was loud enough, it was just not super clear, so you would occasionally just miss something being said because it didn't sound like a word. It sounded like two words would become one word or something. So that definitely made it a little bit harder to hear what was being said, but we got the gist of it. So yeah, it was fine.
I figured, it's important enough that's apparently why there also weren't as many matches on the card, according to my friend Ryan. Is that Tony wanted to give her as much time as possible.
Well, I wonder, because I looked at the amount of matches AEW generally has. There were more matches on this card than most AEW pay-per-views.
Well, that's why he bought the extra hour of time, and that's why
hour.
Yeah.
I got confused.
Yeah, it worked well though. I think that the speech was good. Martha Hart, very convincing. She ended with a little bit about hats, which
better pay off.
Better pay off.
I don't see some good hats in a year.
Some crazy hats in a year, people. Yeah, there was a few other things that happened during the show we can mention. Dante Martin called out Scorpio Sky during this for a title match in the back, which has happened at this point. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Andrade called up Rush from Los Ingobernables, which I think is going to be a good setup for something with Forbidden Door. So, yeah, a few other minor things happened. After that, we have our big World Championship match. Hangman Adam Page versus CM Punk. Good match. This is the match that had, I think, the two botched Punk shot lariats. Can tell you right now, everyone in the audience thought the first botch was intentional.
I did too.
Everyone thought that was intentional.
I did too.
I still think it might have been intentional.
But it's just the second one that screws everything up.
The second one now makes me think, well, maybe the first was meant to go well, and then Punk was Adam Page was going to just like duck under it or something. But I think the botch worked really well as part of the storytelling of, this move's hard. You can't just do it. You can't just take the champion's finisher and use it the same way, which I think worked really well for the storytelling. And seeing if it was a botch, Adam Page adjust so well to the first missed one and like quickly scoop up Punk and like deliver a move to kind of change the flow of that, I think worked super well. So kudos to both of them for getting through that, making it look very natural. It was definitely, I do not have an issue with those botches at all. The second one I think is a little bit more interesting, but at that point you can believe Page is banged up enough that even a regular lariat is going to do him in. So
the second one for me, that was when it was like, okay, something's really wrong, because then it's also not like Hangman doesn't just get up and like continue the match. It's like, but what do we do? Okay, we're just gonna lay down for a little bit, and then they just lay down for a little bit, and the ref is genuinely like, "Hey, are you guys okay? We got a match to keep going." They just kind of like roll around for a little bit, and they they go through like a table and it doesn't break. It just after a while, after the last third of this match is just like these two guys. They're not even like. And I don't mean this in like a bad way necessarily. They're not even like wrestling anymore. They're just like what the fuck do we do? We gotta figure something out how to get people back into this.
Yeah, I think overall they didn't lose the audience at any point, which is I think the
Mhm.
sign of them both being very good at their jobs. So
Yeah. It's just at the same time I've really, but not like within the next year, like far down the line, I would like to see a rematch where they do it right, quote
yeah,
unquote. Because I
I
think
would love to
this
see
matchup
this
deserved.
for a like non-title situation, maybe
Yeah.
like as a tournament ender or something for some
Mm.
type of situation. I think this would be a great match to run back, just because like I think Hangman gets a lot of it has a lot of unsung praise that he deserves for his style, because it's a more grounded, less bombastic style, but it still looks really good, which is hard to pull
Yeah.
off. It's like almost that more WWE style of really impactful moves that are used less frequently, and I think generally AEW people have a problem pulling that style off, and Hangman does it so well.
Yeah.
And I think it looks really, really good every time. So I'm super curious to see what Hangman does, because I want him on TV more, and I think not having the title is going to help with that.
Yeah. Because he's fighting. Who's he fighting on Wednesday?
David Finlay.
Finlay.
Dave Finley. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm glad we're gonna keep seeing him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk wins the match, takes home the title, and holds it for a whole of 1 week, slightly less.
Technically, still has it. But...
Technically, still has it. But we're gonna get into that I think right now, because we're done with the show. Overall, I think this is a pretty good pay-per-view. Not as consistent as some of the others. I think we had lower low points and higher high points in this match. Like the Anarchy in the Arena was especially something that just really, I think, captured a lot of people's attention. A couple of the other matches, Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa put on one of the best technical matches I've seen in a long time. So really good overall. I just think it had a couple of matches that kind of dragged the rating down a bit in terms of people really enjoying this. The whole mess of American Top Team and Sammy Guevara and Ty really just puts a dark cloud over everything that it's involved in.
The pacing of the whole show just felt way off in general.
Yeah, pacing was weird. We got super excited at the end, but the start was very mild after MJF and Wardlow. Part of that might have been Jeff getting injured during their match. Maybe there was something more exciting planned and they couldn't go through with it, which is the right thing to do if that's what happened, because Jeff was injured. But yeah, I think until we had the big trios match that was the fourth match in, and then the like lull of the Owen Hart tournament and the mixed trios match just really bringing the mood down. Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby did not get the audience excited, despite it being Darby. I think the main thing is Darby. People get excited for Darby with a story, and people were excited to see him wrestle. And a lot of kids were really happy. There were like some screaming kids in there. They're going, "Get up, Darby!" and like crying when he lost.
Oh no!
No. Which was so sad. But yeah, I think that was a match that just didn't really elevate anything. So this played out to be pretty standard, I think, in the terms of pay-per-view rankings, especially because we've had a year of like really good pay-per-views. This felt a little bit less loud comparatively, I think.
Yeah.
Not to say it's bad, but it definitely felt less bombastic than some of the others. Only weird thing to me, this did not feel like a casino-themed pay-per-view.
No.
Super weird, because it's in Vegas, on the Strip, right next to 5 casinos. And I don't know, maybe just like make the set look more like a casino or something.
No one even got thrown through the big poker chip. That's what happens honestly, every time, and no one got through the big poker chip.
That to me was like a big disappointment. I feel like you're in Vegas, use the casino theme, especially if you have an Anarchy in the Arena match. Just put some casino stuff around. Just have like a blackjack table somewhere. Someone can get slammed over, you know? Just really felt like we're missing the casino theme a little bit, which is a shame. But I don't know. It's not necessary. I think we had enough good matches here to make up for it. But I think you could have, if you needed to, replace 1 or 2 of these matches with a casino themed thing. But maybe they wanted to save it, because we are now getting a battle royale soon that they could not have known they would have needed to do. But
yes,
there's I think the lack of a casino themed thing is just super weird, especially because there's been one at every other Double or Nothing. So, very surprised we didn't get one. And I want to know if there's like a specific reason for that, if they don't want to make the pay-per-views stick to a match type. It feels like, hey, if we're in the Vegas pay-per-view, have a Vegas themed match once. Give me like a women's division battle royale, casino battle royale. That'd be great. I would have loved that. Didn't get it. So, moving on to our last week of events in AEW space. Boy howdy, it's been a week of things. We got some crazy stuff. The big one is that CM Punk had a match on Wednesday with FTR. Came out, did a crowd dive. Looked fine when he did it. You can see he gets back on stage afterwards, kind of looks down at his foot concernedly, and then just walks to stage. A little bit slower than normal maybe, but hard to notice. Something broke. CM Punk has broken something, and we don't know what. He didn't say.
Surgery.
It's really sad because you can tell like when he steps up on the live rampage. It was a live rampage on Friday, which is why we didn't get like an immediate notification of things. Punk steps up and says he's not dropping the title, but he is going to be out for a while, and they're going to have an interim title and a unification match. People were very confused because Chris Jericho immediately said afterwards that he was relinquishing the title, which is not what's happening.
Jericho.
It's justifiable. I think there was this confusing language in the entire thing. But now that we have the full picture is there's going to be a battle royale on this Dynamite to determine someone to face Moxley on the main event of the same Dynamite. Which I love.
An impossible task
I love
for most people.
I don't care who wins this because I think either way we're gonna get two great matches on the same night of Dynamite. Oh, yeah. So crazy battle royales happening. We're then going to get the main event with Moxley. Moxley will then face the winner of New Japan's equivalent thing, which is probably going to be Tanahashi from the way things looked beforehand. Who will have a title shot.
Ryan stands Goto.
It feels like Mox for Tanahashi's been the thing that's been hinted at for so long, and they were going to do Punk versus Tanahashi for a little while, and now it's got to be swirled around. So I don't know. I think that either way, this is going to be a fun series of things. This has now created a situation that I think is very fun, out of the unfortunate reality of injury. Because it's a shame that the summer of Punk can't get started yet. But I think this does mean, at least it happened early, right? At least we weren't halfway through a storyline or something, and then it happened.
Yeah.
At least it happened quickly, and Punk can just rest up for a little while, and then we get a unification arc thing, which, look, weirdly, these are some of my favorite types of wrestling stories. Is the kind of thing you can't make up, you can't plan for this. It just has to happen, and now we got to deal with the result of it. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun to see what the result of this is. But yeah, I'm curious on what everyone else thinks this is going to play out like compared to the CM Punk Ray we were going to get. Is this going to change plans?
I mean, I think obviously, I think it has to. I know from the rumors are hopefully that like it's not as bad with Punk and he can be back by All Out.
That's what I saw too. Is the logic behind him not dropping the belt is that he'll probably be good for the next major AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah, which I hope so.
Hope so.
That's why I was like really like kind of playing with the idea, and you know, it'd be a bit weird, obviously, because you need things to work out. It would be cool if like Tanahashi was somehow able to stay in the States.
Yes, I would love that.
And have him be the champion, but I don't know if that will 100% do that because of the G1 and everything and other New Japan stuff.
What if the title went to the G1? That'd be wild.
The issue would be there's no title on AEW now.
Yeah,
so that would be the thing. But yeah, you know, I feel like Mox is probably gonna win.
Yeah, I think Mox is the clear-cut choice, but it feels like you build out the main event on the same Dynamite to me. Says there's gonna be something. They have a trick up their sleeve.
It's there's space for someone to get lucky or cheat in the battle royale, and then beat Mox at the end or something like that. But it's just you really can't do both.
Yep.
With it, like actually wrestling the whole battle royale and then fully wrestling Mox. There's only there's only one person that could do that, and that's Bryan Danielson.
And he is injured.
I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Danielson has been injured, supposedly just for like a week or two. So maybe he would be okay by tomorrow, but unlikely. Yeah. I think, even though that probably would have been my go-to pick for someone to win would be Danielson.
I don't know if they would win, but I can probably like see Darby winning the battle royale and then fighting Mox in the same night.
Yeah. Maybe Kingston, although Kingston probably should be beat up after Double or Nothing. I think there's definitely a lot of people you could put in this role. Yeah, just not a lot of people that could convincingly beat Mox afterwards. I think this is the real problem. It's not can they win a battle royale. It's can they win a battle royale and then contend with Moxley. That's a harder ask. So.
I mean, that's because I'm just trying to think about. I don't think it can be like Penta or like.
Wheeler Yuta is still in Japan, isn't he?
He is staying there. The Best of the Super Juniors done. He's staying through their Dominion show, which is when the Tanahashi and Goto matches.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's another person I would have put in, because that would just be a fun match to see Yuta versus Moxley again. That's one of the playbacks they could do that I think would look really good. But yeah, there's certainly people that can pull out. I think they can pull some people from tag teams. Maybe Frankie Kazarian could be a wild ball pick for this. Because he had a good showing in that tag match. He looked really good, so maybe give him another chance to shine.
Yes, yeah. I'm honestly just in general, this is like a great opportunity for just like matchups you wouldn't see.
Yeah, pull some people that have been off TV for a little while back in.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe Kip Sabian shows up.
Oh my god.
I mean, he just came back, or like maybe Miro.
Yeah, Miro could certainly be convincing. Yeah, I think there's a lot of chance here. You could throw the wild ball, put Hangman in it.
I think he also two matches in one day.
Throw Hangman in the Battle Royale, in the Finlay match, and it's a night full of Hangman.
God. Talk about people hating rematches. I mean, like, two of the same guys on TV for two of the matches.
Be great. Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool things here. That could happen. So... This is like a nightmare situation, to be honest, for AEW. It is a nightmare situation. I think they have quickly adjusted in the best way possible to guarantee it does not continue to be a nightmare situation for more than one day after this. So, yeah, I think they've written themselves out well. Other minor news, Cody Rhodes tore his pec off, wrestled what was a pretty dang good Hell in the Cell match, and it's probably going to be off TV for a while. So.
I would imagine, and I would hope.
I think he's getting surgery Thursday.
Yep. The other thing to say, we got the whole MJF situation to talk about a little bit, because MJF showed up on Dynamite, cut a promo that was incredibly good. Told Tony Khan, said, "Fire me, you fucking Mark," which is an incredible sentence that man pulled off on TV. And since then, he has been removed from the AEW roster page. All of his merch is not for sale. There has been an edict issued in Warner Media to not advertise MJF for anything. So we are now in the territory of possibly the best shot worked or worked shoot that's happening.
This guy got his raise. There's no way he did it.
100%. At this point, no, he got his money.
The only reason there's like 1% of me that's like, no, it didn't happen because of the Cody situation. That is like the 1% of my brain that's going, could be real.
Exactly.
Hopefully not, because that was a perfect promo. They cut it in front of the Warner execs. MJF had plenty of lines that would have been set the warning alarms off if this were not a planned promo.
Yeah, they were ready with the bleep for the F-bomb.
They even planned to, I love that they lined it up with the commercial break, so that the end would play during the regular commercial break time. They had everything planned out perfectly. no way to me this is a shoot, aside from that 1% of Cody whispering in the back of my head, Codyverse isn't over yet.
But that's exactly. I mean, you got to admit, if there wasn't that 1% of doubt, it wouldn't be the same. That's exactly what they want you to feel.
This is incredible.
And that's why I don't. Yeah.
Either way, this is great. I think if they do lose MJF, the 1% that they lose MJF, true nightmare scenario.
Actually, maybe irreparable nightmare scenario.
That is the realest nightmare scenario that they could have. Especially because Punk is injured right now and everything. I think that creates the true perfect storm of nightmare. Hopefully that's not the case. I don't think it is, but it's possible. I do wonder, when do you all think we're going to see MJF again? Is it going to be this Wednesday? Is it going to be? Is he going to take a week or two off?
I think the smartest, and that's not. I don't think it's the most popular thing, but it's what they wanted to do when the whole CM Punk thing happened after he won the title in WWE and he left the company. Punk wanted to be gone for like months, to really build it up. But then WWE was like, "Oh no, you come back next week." And they're like, "Well, that sucks."
I would love if we set up to have like a Joker at All Out and it's MJF.
Yeah, or something. I don't want him back immediately. I think that's the crux of it here. I
think wait until at least after Forbidden Door.
Yeah, really play up to it too, because I think it's super interesting too, like how it happened. They're not really talking about it, like after the promo, they didn't mention him talking at all. They went right back to the Tanahashi thing. I think that is really, really interesting.
They're handling it super well. This is it's one of those things where it's like every so often AEW just does this thing where they blend reality and fictional wrestling storytelling in a super interesting and really successful way. And it's like, I mean, you could see it's really interesting. You could see the same exact cogs that were turning during keeping Brody Lee's condition a complete secret that they're using to keep this whole arc going. Is that they just have a complete just hold on the whole media scene and controlling all that stuff. And they, obviously used it to genuinely good effect with Brody's situation and his family. And now they're able to just use it for what is going to be one of the best heel wrestling stories maybe ever. I think this is going to be one of those things. I mean, MJF in general is going to be like 50
legendary.
Years from now. Exactly. He's gonna have golden statues of him in cities. Honestly, he's insanely good.
All right. God. So I only have one more question for you two, because I think this pay-per-view showed some cracks in terms of booking. In just a lot of matches here, about half of them were booked well. Is it time for Tony Khan to find someone else to help him book?
Well, you have to imagine that there's at least a little bit of a board of people that nudge him in directions and stuff.
Because a lot of what we hear is that most of it is the wrestlers pitching to Tony and then kind of following storylines that they're pitching. I wonder if maybe we've hit the point where we need someone, especially to me, the thing that's screaming they need it is the women's division.
Yes.
Someone needs to be fighting for women's TV time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what really stands out to me.
Is Kenny in charge of that?
Kenny was, I want to say, but I feel like he's been on break for a little while with the whole injury situation and helping the game.
Yeah. I just didn't know if he was still doing that administrative position while injured or not. But I feel like you can kind of tell that something has changed, because there was a while there where you feel the women's division ramping up.
Yeah,
but I just now
steep cliff.
Yeah, now more than ever, I another 60 minutes needs to be added on Rampage. Move it forward an hour. So I know I'm asking for a lot of moving puzzle pieces. I don't care. Tony Khan can do it if he wants, because they've done things like this before. Rampage needs another hour. Can make it earlier so that people don't have to stay up until midnight if they're 60 years old and don't want to watch it. And just that alone, move some of the men's division things that would be on Dynamite onto the Rampage. And then you have space in both for more than one women's match. And then literally just the inclusion of more than one like physical fighting in the ring part of an arc for like a women's match
Especially
story.
that isn't just a squash.
Exactly. That's like that could do wonders for the whole division, because right now, like, when are we going to see Paige Van Zandt again? It could be months.
Because I think we've hit the point of the women's division has the talent to support it.
Exactly.
We don't need more
time.
signings to make the division better. We need time for the signings to show off.
Exactly, yeah. Because it's criminal that Stat has gotten pretty much nothing to show for her being around. And that's literally her character now. And it's still not happening. And you have so many of the people that were that joined during the pandemic that by this point have bloomed into incredible wrestlers that just like barely get time. And I cannot stress enough how absolutely nothing Dark matters for this, because like it just doesn't. It's a like to say that like Dark or being the Elite even are like the same level of you should be paying attention to this as actual Dynamite and Rampage is just incorrect, because they're extra things. They should be extra. Dark should be for the people that like, that aren't super ready all the time for TV yet, being put up against people that are on TV to show that they can make that transition soon at some point.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be relying on like main story being, oh well, we don't have enough time to show this on Rampage, so we're just gonna show it on Dark, and then next week on Dynamite.
Because a lot of Dark episodes, they play promos that should be in the main show. They'll do vignettes and stuff that really need to be on Dynamite to tell people what's going on. Sometimes if they miss a week or something, like.
And that Excalibur's like 30-second speed run explanations of the storyline, they don't do it justice, because it shouldn't fall on him to do that in the first place. They should be shown on the screen with everyone else's.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our whole list of things to go through for this, unless anyone has something else they want to bring up. Nope. Great. All right. That's the show. We did it. We made it all the way through the Wrestlecast. We talked about this. We'll probably, I assume, be back for Forbidden Door if we can finagle a time slot for that. Depending on if they announce a lot of matches beforehand, the pre-post show might look different. It might just be a post show. It might be a pre and a post show. We'll see. It's going to heavily depend on what matches are announced and people here's familiarity with the Japanese wrestlers showing up and whatnot. So, yeah, we'll revisit that as soon as that comes around, which is quite soon. So, see you next time.
We made it.
Did it.
We're done.
Forbidden Door, what? We have like not even 3 weeks. Forbidden Door.
It should be ramping up pretty heavily in the next 2 weeks. So.
I'm so excited.
Oh yeah.
You have no idea.
I think a lot of the major things are going to be announced after Sunday.